We are in John chapter 10 today, verses 1 to 21. So this is part 1 of chapter 10. Tomorrow will be part 2. But today, Jesus identifies himself by 2 more I am statements. And these I am statements not only give us a picture of who Jesus is, but it also gives us a picture of who we are in relation to his identity as well. So the first I am statement that we're going to look at, Jesus says that he is the gate for the sheep. And the sheep is meaning those who follow after him, those who have trusted their lives to Jesus. So in verses 7 to 10, we read this. I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me were thieves and robbers, but the true sheep did not listen to them. Yes, I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. They will come and go freely and will find good pastures. The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. So just a little bit of background. A sheepfold was a place where sheep were kept, and it only had one entrance in and out. And some of these had gates, but some, the shepherd or the gatekeeper, were essentially the gate at night. They would lay down over the opening and make sure that no sheep could escape or nothing else could get in. A wolf, thief, robber, as it says in here, nothing else could get in or out. The sheep couldn't get out. So we'll get back to that in a second. Second, we read that Jesus says this in verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd sacrifices his life for the sheep. A hired hand will run when he sees a wolf coming. He will abandon the sheep because they don't belong to him and he isn't their shepherd. And so the wolf attacks them and scatters the flock. The hired hand runs away because he's working only for the money and doesn't really care about the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep and they know me, just as my Father knows me and I know the Father. So I sacrifice my life for the sheep. So a shepherd's job was to keep watch over the sheep, to lead them, to guide them, to protect them, to care for them. And Jesus is saying here that he is the good shepherd. He is the ultimate shepherd to care and look after his sheep. But he says that there are others who claim to lead and guide these sheep, to claim to care for them. But in the end, they're really out for their own gain. And they are too blind by what they have in their own mind to see and to really care for the sheep. Now we have to interpret this section of verses in the context where it falls in the book of John. And if you'll remember yesterday, we see this incredible miracle that Jesus performed. He heals a man who had been born blind. He heals this man, but he does it on a day of rest. He does it on the Sabbath day, and the Pharisees are quite critical of what Jesus did because he did this on a day that no one was supposed to work, and this technically qualified as work. So the Pharisees, they miss completely the miraculous work, the incredible healing that takes place in the life of this man because of what they have set up in their own minds as religion. And they miss Jesus in the wake of it. And so they aren't caring about this man, this supernatural thing that happened in the life of this man. Instead, they are too preoccupied with what they have set up in their mind as religion. So back to our reading today. A direct comparison can be made between the thieves and the robbers that Jesus talks about in today's reading and the Pharisees and the religious leaders of the time. They may claim to look after the sheep. They may claim to lead and guide and teach them. But at the end of the day, they are leading in a way that doesn't lead to life at all. They lead in a way that leads to restriction and doesn't end with Jesus. As we saw yesterday, they completely miss Jesus and they continue to miss Jesus. So contrast this with the identity that Jesus calls out for himself. Jesus is the gate for the sheep. He is the one that protects them. He is the shepherd. He is the one who leads and guides them along the path. So let's go back to verse 10 today. It says, "The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life." Jesus offers a chance at an abundant life for his sheep, not ones that are, classified with restrictions, but a rich and satisfying life, a life that is defined by following after him and resting content in his provision for every single one of their needs. So one last thing I want to point out about the relationship between Jesus and his sheep. As I read these last few verses, I just encourage you to personalize them with your own name. Personalize them as, this is truth. You are his sheep. Jesus is your shepherd. So read this today with new eyes. "The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep recognize his voice and come to him. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. After he has gathered his own flock, he walks ahead of them and they follow him because they know his voice." Jesus calls you by name. He knows you apart from every other person on this earth throughout all of time. He walks ahead of you to lead you on a journey, and he protects you. An incredible line that I hear so much promise in is that you and I have the ability to hear Jesus' voice, to hear the voice of the shepherd and to distinguish it from other voices in our lives. Now, that may sound like a huge task, but it is possible. We can filter out all the other noise in our lives, the other voices, the pressures, the things that we feel like we need to be doing, the lies from the devil, quite honestly, and we can tune our hearts and minds to only hear his voice. So 2 things that I think that we can walk away with today is that Jesus is your shepherd who leads and guides you and who calls you by name, you specifically by name. And the second is that you can hear his voice. So maybe today there needs to be a time to intentionally filter out and tune out all of the other noise of the world, because we all know that it is noise sometimes. And instead, tune your heart, tune your mind to only hear the truth of God. And that truth is him saying that you are mine and I am leading and guiding you. So trust him and rest in the fact that he's going to provide for every single one of your needs.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.